Hey guys, Future Broski here, just setting the stage for this video. So last week I made a video outlining Ken's strengths in SF6, go check it out if you haven't already. And while I was streaming, I was alerted to the fact that a response video had been made to mine. We decided to do a live reaction and this is what followed. I do want to be clear though, that Faraja, the maker of the video, is a nice fella. He was in chat throughout and took the criticism in good humor. And the whole thing is meant to be lighthearted, so please be respectful. And with that being said, let's get into the video. I just saw the title of the video is What Makes Ken Not Strong? Oh no, that's my face. What makes Ken not strong? Double broski jump scare? Phenom describes as the weakest Shoto. We're talking about Ken. 6 months from... Oh no, he added reverb. I'm so owned. Now you'll be lying in a ditch playing Ken. You're not supposed to watch this and think, damn, I want to play Ken. Talking about how actually Jinrai isn't that strong. Such a consistently strong character. What is this? Why did you put me in slow-mo? Isn't that strong. Such a consistently strong character. What is this? Is this a creepypasta?
It tore me apart, but I learned an important lesson. You can't count on anyone.
Alright, okay.
Standing light kick has very good range.
Whoa. I'm getting whiplash here. We go from the Incredibles joke, like 0-second delay, straight into the actual video? Hold on.
On anyone.
Let's begin. Standing light kick has very good range, though what I will say is the range on standing light kick is only marginally better than the other Shotos, and by Shotos I'm talking about Ed, Akuma, and Ryu. Ed, Akuma, and Ryu all have a standing light kick that's 1.3 units long, while Ken's is 1.32. So granted, it's slightly longer, but what makes up for that?
Yeah. What?
Is the fact that he can't get a combo off Drive Rush. If I said
this. What? I'm confused.
Dummy to block after first hit, you'll see that I can't get a combo here. While
if this is meant to be a response to my video, you're just saying exactly what I said, which is that Stand Light Kick has the most range, but I even added in my video the acknowledgement that you can't get a combo off it on Drive Rush. I said that.
Other Shotos can.
Like, you're just repeating what I said back to me here.
As we can see here, for example, Ryu can get this combo. Furthermore, Akuma, 9k Smile, obviously does get this combo too. And last but not least, as we can see, Ed also gets this combo. So the Shotos that have slightly less range on their light kicks have the ability to combo with a Drive Rush. That's the exchange that's made here. Granted, Ken has an extra 0.02 units on his standing light kick. Whoa, that's crazy. But every other Shoto in the...
So, I don't get it. You're acknowledging that it has insane range and then being like sarcastically, whoa, that's crazy, it's only the best by 0.2 units. It's like, well, okay, it's still the best. What? I'm so confused. This is an interesting approach to downplay, to just be like, yeah, it's long as fuck, but it's only the longest by 0.362 units.
The game can get a...
So you're saying that it is long. You're agreeing with me.
Next we have low forward. Low forward is another big culprit that Ken up players love to talk about. And
ooh, I'm a Ken up player. Is that true? Ken up? Am I an up player? Is that what that means?
I'll be honest, okay? 7-frame startup is very good, right? The fact...
Have you noticed how, like, every single move so far has started with, like, I'll be honest, this move is fucking amazing. And then, like, isn't this supposed to be, like, a defense of these Ken tools? You can't start everyone by being like, yeah, it's true that it's very strong.
That he has 7-frame startup that leads into all of his great combos and his good corner carry we'll talk about later is a good thing, right? That's very strong.
That's very strong. Agreed. Like, is this not an agreement video? I thought we were supposed to be holding up different opinions here. It seems like you're agreeing with me a lot.
However, again, it comes with a caveat. So Ken's crouching medium kick actually has worse range than most other cancelable crouching medium kicks in the game. If you want to look at ranges for crouch medium kicks, while Ken's, fair enough, it's 7 frames, it actually has worse range than a lot of the cast. It's in the bottom half of cancelable crouch medium kick ranges. It loses out compared to a list long enough to memorize and read off in the script, so I'm actually just going to put it up on the screen. Ken has a worse crouch medium kick than all of these characters. Fair enough.
Whoa, hold on. You can't put up that much data on screen for like half a second. I need to see what that said.
I'm actually just going to put it up on the screen.
Alright, so this is the low forwards. Yeah, but these are 8 frames. So of the 7 frames, It's almost exactly the same range as Chun's, which again is exactly what I said in my video, that it's like the longest 7 frame tied with Chun. And I would also point out that quite a lot of these have caveats. Have you noticed that the first active frame of Jury's is 1.446, which is actually less than Ken's on the first active frame on frame 8? So this one you can ignore. Luke's first active frame is 1.44, which is less than Ken's, and it's 8 frames. So these two are basically cheating. But this 7 frames, this is what I said in my video, is that 7 frames is what makes this such a good normal. Like, I didn't say it was the longest low forward. I said it was the longest 7 frame low forward.
Ken has a worse crouch medium kick than all of these characters.
Sorry, all of these characters? There is no way you're going to try and make the claim that, like, fucking all of these characters here have a better low forward than Ken. There's no way you're saying to me legitimately that you think Ken's is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th, 10th best low forward in the game? If I understand correctly, that's what you're saying, right? I would disagree, but okay.
Fair enough, I hear you saying it's 7 frames, and it does make it slightly better in scramble situations, but tit for tat. While Ken wins in scrambles sometimes, other characters have an easier time landing their low forwards. The next button to talk about is stand forward. This is a good button. Simply put, this is a good button. Ken has very good buttons. Ken's neutral is good.
Why does every single one of these start with you admitting that these buttons are really fucking good? Every single one has started with you being like, you claim this button is good, and I agree with you, it is very good. However,
that's his whole thing, and we'll talk about that more later. This button is good. Now, no matter how this button hits, Ken is gonna get something off of it. If it hits on regular hit, he gets his target combo. If it hits on counter hit, Ken can get this into DP. Just a side note, I'll tell you what he can't get, which is this into drive rush combo. That doesn't work, of course. And fair enough, this button is good. You hear me saying it's good, I hear you saying it's better, because when Ryu wants to do something like this, Ken can punish. Okay, fair enough, he has this, but what I will argue, if the dummy would stop doing a replay here, what I will argue is, if you know Ken can punish this move, don't do the move. This is the counterplay that you just need to consider when you play.
I'm gonna have, like, there is a blood vessel somewhere in my brain that's gonna explode. Just don't do it, that's fine. Here's my response to you saying that Ken's stand medium kick has completely unique punishes that no one else can do. Just don't use the move.
Play any character.
Just don't do it, bro. Simply do not do the move. You realize that by admitting that, you're saying that Ken's stand medium kick is so good, it completely shuts down the existence of a key tool of your opponent. Right? That's what you're admitting right there. And another way of phrasing that is that this move is fucking amazing. If a punish is so good that it just strips a tool straight out of your opponent's kit, that is a really fucking good move. What is going on here? I'm losing my mind right now. Oh my god, we're only 3 minutes in. I don't think I'm going to make it through this thing.
Strong is an okay button, but it's really not as good as you think it is. The biggest culprit for why people think it's good is this. Now this link, granted, is very, very, very good. Now the fact that Ken can get jab into target combo into run DP is strong. I won't deny that. But what I will say is on block, this is quite bad. There's a 5 frame gap here. Any character can press a button and get a combo. You'll get a counter hit jab, a counter hit medium if you're privileged enough to have a 5 frame medium, and Ken loses a ton. It's -2 if a medium.
Sorry, just to be clear. Oh my god. Okay, so just to be clear, your argument here is that Ken's stand medium punch isn't as good as I said it was, on the basis that he can't do light into medium and have it be a frame trap. A trait that he shares with literally every other fucking character in the entire game. That's what you're telling me right now. Him not being able to frame trap you with light to medium is a unique weakness of Ken, as opposed to universal behavior in this game. I can't.
To have a 5 frame medium, and Ken loses a ton. It's -2. If a Ken tries to do this in hopes he can confirm the jab into his target combo, he's gonna lose his ton. When your opponent isn't blocking, granted Ken can get his target combo, but when you are blocking, he gets nothing and he loses his turn. That is if you also don't press. So it's just bad. Next we have stand fist.
It's just bad. Now, it's just bad because he loses his turn if he does light to medium. Something that every single other character in the entire game can't do. It's just bad, bro.
Now, okay, let's be honest here. Let's be real. This button is very good. This button is great in neutral. This button is great as a footsie tool, a meaty tool. It's so easy to make meaty.
I respect Phenom downplay more.
And like that was +2. This button is very good, and you'll notice it's a common theme within Ken's kit, is that his neutral is very good. He can pepper you with really strong buttons, drive rush, all of this stuff. That's what Ken excels at, and granted, he's good at it, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Really
every single move so far has started with an acknowledgement that the moves are very, very strong. That is not how you downplay.
Supports that, and we'll get onto the whole idea of why Ken isn't as strong as you think he is later, but first...
Well, we haven't got time for that.
Ken's Fireball. It's a fireball. It is one of the fireballs of all time. It's fine. It sometimes can be good, but it's just a fireball. Obviously, what you're here for is EX Fireball. Now, EX Fireball is good. I won't downplay it.
That's exactly what I said in my video. I think I said the exact same thing. Regular Fireball, not that impressive. EX, really good. Sounds like we're agreeing again. A lot of this video is just us agreeing. I'm very, very concerned.
Now, what I will say is you're probably thinking of this as to why EX Fireball is so good. But what I raise you is, it's not a reaction, it's a read. Ken has to do EX Fireball here as a read. He can't do this on reaction, which is what makes it weak.
Which is what makes it weak? That you can't do it on reaction? What? I'm out. I can't do this. I'm sorry. We're done here. You can't reaction respond to fireballs with EX Fireball for a punish, therefore it's weak. That was 16 minutes long. I tapped out after like 4 or 5.
Several days later.
Alright, I'm back. I've returned to the video. I said I wouldn't do it. I said I wouldn't come back. I'm returning to the what makes Ken not strong video because I refuse to lose. You know, I'm a competitive Street Fighter player. I refuse to back down. So I'm going to try and make it through this whole video. I'm going to do my best to pick up where we left off and try and like... What I want to do here is I want to try and like keep calm, keep cool, and respond to what is being said in like a well-reasoned, rational way.
Ken has to do EX Fireball here as a read. He can't do this on reaction, which is what makes it weak.
That was it. That was what broke me last time. I tapped out there at the he can't do the EX Fireball. That's what makes it weak. That was where we tapped out last time. But I'm not going to let it beat me this time. I don't think there's a single fireball in the entire game which you can like reactively respond with your own fireball and it be a punish, other than like maybe EX Boom if you're lucky. Even then, like EX Boom doesn't lead to a combo. It's not like Guile can EX Boom and then drive rush behind it. I guess maybe Luke, but yeah.
Essentially, he can't. If he's doing EX Fireball, it's because it's being done as a read. And if he's doing it as a read, that means you are losing 2 bars of gauge if your read happens to be wrong. Granted, if your read is correct, you get a lot of damage. If your read is wrong, you just lose 2 bars.
Well, not necessarily, because you can also get pressure as well. Like, it's not like, you know, Ken throws EX Fireball and then you just reset back to neutral. If you block that EX Fireball or you parry it, Ken is at like mega frame advantage, so he can just drive rush in anyway and get pressure. So I don't know about that one, Chief.
To mention, if your read is wrong and you just do EX Fireball drive rush and it happens to be blocked, you've just lost 3 gauge. You've just lost 3 bars of gauge for nothing. You get a little bit of pressure, but as we're going to talk about later, Ken's pressure is not as good as you think gauge for nothing. You get a little bit blocked.
Sorry, I would argue that going from a neutral position to inflicting drive gauge damage and also being +3 is not nothing. I mean, look, it's what, yeah, that's a good point. Look, did you guys notice? Just before the training mode reset it, this was the drive situation. It automatically refilled. Just by doing EX Fireball Drive Rush Fierce with no Jinrai behind it, that did nearly a bar's worth of drive damage and +3 and Ken's ideal range. So, I'm not sure you can describe that as nothing for Ken.
Blocked. You've just lost 3 gauge. You've just lost 3 bars of gauge for nothing. You get a little bit of pressure, but as we're going to talk about later, Ken's pressure is not as good as you think it is. And so for Ken, this isn't what he wants.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait to find out about Ken's pressure.
Corner. His pressure mid-screen.
God, man. Hey, this is a deep cut. Have any of you guys seen the movie Hardcore with George C. Scott? There's a scene in that movie where he's like staring at, I won't spoil the movie, but he's staring at like a screen in a movie theater and having like a mental breakdown and going, turn it off, turn it off.
Turn it off! Turn it off!
I'm getting that vibe from this. It's every inch of me is like convincing me to turn this damn movie off.
Getting ready to type a comment about why Ken's pressure is crazy in top 1 and he's the best Shoto XYZ. Hold your horses, let's talk about his other special moves first. Next is his DPs. Now, Ken has a DP. It's a standard DP. It's not amazing. It's not bad. It's just a DP. The other Shotos have DPs that can compete with this. There's nothing that makes Ken DPs very special. Now, obviously, I hear you saying Ken can do this, but again, this is quite hard to react to. So
You cannot lead with the premise that Ken's DP has nothing special about it, and then immediately follow up with, well, it's technically true that his DP can go straight through fireballs, which none of the other DPs can do, but you can't do that. You've just contradicted yourself in the space of like 2 sentences. There's nothing special about his DP. I mean, you can technically do this.
So now I've set the dummy to do 4 replays where it fireballs at random intervals, and I urge you to try and react to this. Go and lab this. This is difficult. If a Ken's doing this, it's because he's landing a read. Now you can get it sometimes, okay? Don't get me wrong. This is a closed environment.
Wait,
if a Ken is focusing,
we didn't even get to this bit the first time around. Wait.
It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. You have quite a limited amount of time to do it. Now you can get it sometimes, okay? Don't get me wrong.
If I was making the video, I probably would have edited that part out. You know, the part where you tried to say that it was unreactable and then accidentally broke character and reacted midway through the video. The video is a joke? I don't think so. I just think it was like recorded in like 1 take. I think this was not rehearsed, you know. I don't think the video is being sarcastic, but I do think he's being a little bit playful here, you know.
This is a closed environment. If a Ken is focusing, trying to react to your fireball, more often than not, you're going to be able to get anything you want. If a Ken's waiting for a fireball, you're going to be able to just walk up and throw him. In a closed environment, this is hard enough. Imagine in an open environment where Ken has everything else to worry about.
But like, I feel like you're not addressing the core point, which is that, yeah, it is hard to do this. I agree, it is hard to do this, but it's an option that Ken has, and that's all that I'm saying is like, Ryu can't do that, Akuma can't do that. Ken is the only one of the Shotos that can reaction DP fireballs in the mid-range, and granted, it's hard to do, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still a tool that Ken has that the others don't. God, you've got me downplaying Akuma right now. That's how that's how much this video gets to me. You know it's bad when I start defending Akuma.
If you're getting hit by a DP through a fireball, it's because you are either being too obvious or because you're throwing fireballs in a range where Ken is sitting there waiting for you to do it. Even if he is sitting there waiting for you to do it, it's still quite difficult, and I urge you to try it yourself. Reacting to this in a closed environment is one thing, but in a real match where there's other things to consider, it's way more difficult. And again,
yeah, I agree, it's hard, but it's possible.
We also have his run DP, which serves the same purpose. Again, good luck trying to react to a fireball with this, right? If Ken is doing this, it's a read. And a lot of characters have moves that can blow through fireballs if you have a read, right? Aki has her coward crouch dive. Cammy has her spin knuckle. You can just jump, right?
But like, I never stated anywhere in my video at any point that this was a thing that you do on reaction, I don't think. Yeah, it's a read. But again, it's like you can't just dismiss all of these tools by being like, yeah, but it's hard to use and sometimes it requires a hard read. You know, you're just kind of like being like, yeah, it's true, this move is great and other characters don't have access to a move like this, but it requires you to read your opponent rather than just automatically winning at the character select screen, so it's not that good.
Okay, next we have Dragon Lash. Now, there's nothing else to say here. Dragon Lash is a scrub killer move. It's
agreed.
Hey,
I said that in my video.
Awake or are you not awake?
Maybe this is the part of the video where it all comes together and we start agreeing. I said this exact thing. I don't rate Dragon Lash that highly myself either.
Awake kind of move. Even if you're not awake, he's +1. It's not the end of the world. This move is 27 frame startup. It takes a very long time to come out. You can react to this pretty consistently in a closed environment or not, in a match or not. This is not difficult to react to. There's not much else to say here. Okay, so I saved the best for last, and you've probably been waiting for this, but now we have Jinrai.
Oh god, okay.
Jinrai is...
Alright, so we agree. I'm glad we found common ground at least. Before we move on to Jinrai, before I have an aneurysm, we found some common ground. I'm glad we both agree about Dragon Lash, at the very least, you know? But now it's time for Jinrai. I've noticed that we're like 8 minutes left in the video on the Jinrai section. That's quite concerning.
is good. I'm not going to lie, Jinrai is good. But what I
Okay.
will say is most people don't consider the counterplay it does have. Granted, the counterplay it has is weak and it varies and it's not as insane as you would hope it would be, but it's still counterplay. A lot of
Okay.
moves in Street Fighter don't simply have an answer to them. A lot of people try and find a solid answer that works every time that you can do against every move in the game. That's not how this game works. A lot of the time you have to hold things. And this is one of those things. Every character has some form of mix-up or pressure.
What is counterplay? Webster's defines counterplay as the ability to counter a technique. And so, technically speaking, does anything have counterplay? What are we doing here?
That you just have to hold. This is what Ken has, and frankly, it's all he has. Jinrai is -5.
It's all-
And if spaced,
Whoa. Sorry? Say that again?
this is one of those things. Every character has some form of mix-up or pressure that you just have to hold. This is what Ken has, and frankly, it's all he has. Jinrai
You couldn't resist the temptation to just tack on that, and that's all he has at the end. That's what pushed me over the line there. I was just about willing to give it to you, but you just pushed your luck at the end there. It's all he has, bro.
is -5, and if spaced, won't be able to be punished.
True.
Now, what I will say about this move is it's still your turn. Most people try to punish Jinrai when they're in a faraway range and end up just losing. After Jinrai, you shouldn't be trying to punish it. You should be taking your turn back. If I set Ryu to just heavy punch after Jinrai, there's not much I can do. If I try and go for like another crouch medium kick into Jinrai, I'm gonna get counter hit. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's true, but like the pushback on Jinrai is so severe, as you mentioned, that it technically it is Ryu's turn
Okay.
after blocking the Jinrai, but there's not much of a mix-up here because you're so far away, you're not in threat of a throw, and you're also at risk of getting perfect parried. Like a lot of Ken players will Jinrai and then tap parry. So yeah, you do have frame advantage with Ryu here, but I don't think it's a very threatening situation to be in. You know, if Ken just down backs after Jinrai, there's not much else you can do. Unless you feel like walking up and throwing for like 10 frames.
I hear you saying,
Risky.
okay, what if you go into a fast move, like a jab? Ken is still -5. Ryu can just do something faster. I don't know what Ryu has. What about crouching medium kick? Okay, let's try that. Oops, can't jab. It's not my turn. Ken players lose their turn after Jinrai. So even if you don't get a punish, it's still your turn afterwards. Now this is obviously not even taking into account that most characters can just reversal through it. Granted, not every character has a reversal, and granted it's
Most characters? Citation needed, motherfucker. Let me have a look at the cast. Hold on. I did mention this in my video as well, but I just want to check on most. So I would take contention with saying that most characters have an EXDP, and also the fact that even the ones that do don't necessarily have a reliable punish on Jinrai. Yeah. Also keep in mind the reversal, as well as having lack of horizontal range, it also can't be too slow. Like if it's more than 7 frames, the reversal is not guaranteed. So like Ed, for example. So yeah, it's not just a case of do you have an EXDP, yes, no, but it's also, it has to be 7 frames or less, and it has to have decent horizontal range to be guaranteed on Jinrai, which is definitely not most. I would take big contention with describing it as most characters can do that. I would guess around a third of the cast have it guaranteed.
It's not a universal punish, but there is some counterplay. You can reversal, you can try perfect parry, you can do all sorts of things, and that's where Ken has to play the mind game of what are you going to do
Whoa.
afterwards. Perfect parry,
Sorry.
you can do all sorts of things, but there is some counterplay. You can reversal, you can try perfect parry, you can do all sorts of things.
Sorry, what is coming under the umbrella of you can do all sorts of things here? We've got reversal and perfect parry. What's the all sorts of things that you added on the end of that sentence? No, you can't DI. Super? That's reversal. Or F4, you can unplug. I feel like adding all sorts of things there just kind of like implied that there was a bunch of counterplay after those 2 things that you listed. I don't think there's anything else other than, like, genuinely, like, stand fierce into Jinrai, assuming you're not already DIing before it even happened. I think literally the only punishes are, like, guaranteed punishes are perfect parry and invincible reversal. I think that's it. I think the end of list.
And that's where Ken has to play the mind game of what are you going to do afterwards, right? But this goes back to why Ken is not the best character to pressure with to begin with. Most of his pressure relies on guesses. It relies on, are you going to press?
Most of his pressure relies on guesses. We have a word for that. It's called fighting games. It's a trait that Ken shares with every single other character that's ever existed in every fighting game in all history.
Are you going to try to take your time back? Are you not going to? Ken is constantly playing mind games for his pressure where other characters simply don't have to. Is Jinrai a weak...
What? Okay, be cool. Be cool. This is... I'm doing my best here. Folks, I'm trying my hardest. Sorry, which characters don't have to play mind games to win pressure situations? Well, I don't understand this. What are you talking about? Every single, like, pressure situation is a mind game, by definition. Who are we talking about that doesn't ever have to read the opponent's defensive habits to get guaranteed pressure? I guess Rashid level 2. Alright, fair enough. Rashid level 2 might be the only correct answer to that question, but, yeah.
Weak move? No. Is Jinrai a very good move? Yes. Simply put, yes. Ken has to be slightly awake. He can't just be doing it at any range because then you'd be able to punish. And he can't be doing it at low health or when he's at a drive gauge disadvantage because then you can super through it, you can meter through it, you can guess with a perfect parry and most of the times be okay. It simply has counterplay. Not to mention, I'm not...
This is like a classic thing that I've experienced across a lot of different like angles is when people's response, this might be a good sort of pivot, right? People's response to like critiques of moves and characters being strong is to be like, you claim this move is strong, but actually it has counterplay. Everything has counterplay. Everything in all of fighting games has counterplay. You know, if like that's why those auto cheating scripts work. Because throwing has counterplay, you tech it. Command grabs have counterplay, you jump them. Strikes have counterplay, you perfect parry them. You know, in a perfect world, every single thing in the game has counterplay. That is not I don't think that's like a... It doesn't really mean anything as like a counter argument. It's like you say this move is strong, but it has counterplay. Everything has counterplay. Even the strongest moves in the game. Even Rashid level 2, believe it or not, has counterplay. If you were a machine that could see every single frame in real time, you would be able to perfect parry all 5 hits of the tornado and then punch Rashid in the face. It's the point is like how viable the counterplay is and how tilted the risk reward is. So just saying like it has counterplay, I don't think really offsets any of its strengths. But this is a thing that I've noticed across a bunch of fighting games. People will be like, the fact that counterplay exists is like end of argument.
I'm even going to talk about overhead because if you play this game enough, you'll know that overhead also has counterplay.
To be fair, I didn't even mention Jinrai overhead in my video because I don't think Jinrai overhead is that scary myself. Outside of Burnout. In Burnout, it's kind of dumb, but I don't really care about
if I set the dummy
Jinrai overhead
to reversal, crouching light kick, or standing light kick even, you'll see if I go for the overhead, he can get a punish.
Yeah.
The overhead doesn't matter because you can option select.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. You can like delay button and it'll beat the overhead and block the low. I know that. So I didn't even raise this point in my video.
I'm not saying Jinrai isn't strong. Jinrai is very strong, but I'm saying
so what are we doing here? What do you mean I'm not saying Jinrai isn't strong? It's very strong. Your video is called What Makes Ken Not Strong? I'm losing it.
There's not much I actually want to cover here. Broski hit most of the points right on the head. Ken's supers are pretty good. All of them are. Another thing people love to talk about as well is how Ken's level 2 can punish things that kind of weren't meant to be punished. For example, Sobat. DJ falls victim to this quite a bit because medium kick Sobat as well as crouching medium kick both fall as a punish.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the however at the end of these sentences now. I keep getting jump scared.
To Ken's level 2.
Where's
now,
the but? Where's the however?
This is bad. Most Ken players don't go for this for a few reasons. The first of which, if a Ken player decides to punish this with a level 2, they lose 2 bars of meter. For not that much damage. Most of the time Ken wants to keep it.
I'm trying so hard, guys. I'm trying so hard. The sudden pivot to this is bad, actually. I knew it was coming and it still got me.
Now, what do I have to say to this? This is bad. Most Ken players don't go for this for a few reasons.
Okay. This is bad. Ken being able to punish things that no one else in the game can punish is bad. Let me hear the reasoning why. Please, for the love of God. This better be good.
The first of which, if a Ken player decides to punish this with a level 2, they lose 2 bars of meter. For not that much damage, most of the time...
the downside of using a level 2 is that it takes 2 bars of meter. So true, King. So true.
Ken wants to keep his meter because he wants to cash out with level 3. If a Ken is using level 2 to punish a move, he no longer has level 3, which is arguably one of Ken's best things, is how much damage he can get with a level 3. Ken using...
It's insane. I can't fathom the machinations of a Ken player's mind. I'm trying so hard to be nice here, but like, how can you possibly say that like the downside of his level 2 being a completely unique punish option that will punish things no other character can punish and be like, actually it's bad because by using level 2 you don't have access to level 3 anymore? Like, how is that a weakness?
Using level 2, as long as it doesn't kill for the round, which if it does, you shouldn't be using those moves anyway, is a good thing. Not to mention, if you know Ken has level 2 and you're at a life that will kill, why are you doing these moves to begin with? This is the basic counterplay you need to account for any character. When you play against Akuma, you look out for his overhead. When you play against Guile,
just
you know
don't
you
use
need
it.
to sweep his side.
We're doing this bit again. I think this was an earlier thing in the in the segment about stand medium kick. The response to like stand medium kick being an amazing punish move was just don't use that move. We're doing that again.
Blades,
I've seen this episode before.
This same thing applies to Ken, but
just
for some
don't use it,
reason,
Smile.
everyone seems to... So don't do the move.
But do you realize that that's an incredibly strong thing that you're suggesting? Like, this just don't use it. Like, the fact that you are... I'm repeating myself now, but the fact that you are able to basically shut down key tools of your opponent's moveset purely on the basis that Ken is just there on the screen, that's very, very fucking strong. So, even if I take your argument of just don't do the -6 move, that means that his level 2 is really good because you could, the threat of it is enough to just like remove entire things from DJ's toolset.
Onto his pressure corner carry. Ken has good corner carry. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you guys, but that's the whole point of Ken. Ken's whole game plan is win neutral, get you into the corner, and then, you know, me...
Sorry, I know I'm keep pausing it too much, but I really like the sentence, Ken's whole game plan is win neutral. So true.
Throw loop. Let me turn that off. Just throw loop you, kind of heavy punch meaty if you don't whiff it. Like, that's his game plan. That's what Ken wants to do.
Is that a game plan?
Saying Ken has good corner carry. Ken's corner
Is winning neutral and taking you to the corner, is that a game plan? Like, what character doesn't want to do that? That's the whole point of Street Fighter 6. This doesn't sound like you're describing Ken. It sounds like you're just describing the win condition for fighting games.
How strong he is in the corner is debatable, and I think a can of worms I don't want to open right now. But yes, he's got corner carry because that's his thing. He's got corner carry the same way. Aki has poison the same way. Geef has SPD the same way. Akuma...
I mean, okay, I'm going to be a little bit charitable here. Maybe. I will say, I actually think Ken having big corner carry could be a unique character trait for Ken going forward. So, like, for example, like, if Ken does get nerfed in a future balance patch, I would be okay with his unique thing being his massive corner carry if you tone down, like, Jinrai and stuff. So, like, I can kind of see the argument for that one, that, like, that is kind of... Ken is known for being very mobile and being able to drag you around the screen. Like, historically, Ken's back throw, where he does like 18 cartwheels, is known for being the back throw that corners you from the other side of the planet. So I guess I can at least give you that like, I could see that being like a Ken trait, the big corner carry. But only if it comes at the cost of some other things about his kit getting toned down.
What builds Ken's kit as a whole is the fact that if he is pressuring you, most of the time, he is unsafe. I'll give you an example here. The dummy's set to block, right? Common pressure sequence you'll see Ken's do is this. Now, what's the counterplay? I said that if Ken is pressuring you, he's usually unsafe. So let's think. Now, I've set the dummy to drive impact because after target combo, Ken just loses here. Even if I do nothing, you can still DI. There's no way Ken can make target combo safe without spending meter, which is a common theme in his kit. So to show you what I mean, target combo into medium Jinrai, unsafe. Now, a lot of Kens will do target combo into run stop to bait a DI. Loses to jab. A lot of Kens will do target combo into fireball and try to get away with it.
Sorry, you led this by saying that like DI was the counterplay here, and then immediately undercut it by saying that he can actually just bait DI here and go for a DI safe run stop. I'm not an expert at Street Fighter 6. Is there a way that I can do both jab and DI at the exact same time? I don't think you can do that. I think you have to actually make a read. But again, we're on the same territory that we were on earlier, where it's like, yes, this string seems strong, but have you considered that it has counterplay if you make a correct read defensively? And it's like, yeah, that's how fighting games work.
-11.
Again, the existence of counterplay does not mean that something is bad.
So, generally to close off, is Ken a good character? Yes. Is he strong? Yes. I'm not...
So just to close out, is Ken a good character? Yes. Is he strong? Yes. Can I just remind once more, the title of the video is What Makes Ken Not Strong? For the last time.
Is he as good as you think he is? Probably not.
Is he as good as you think he is? So I guess the target audience for this video is someone who thinks Ken is broken. But if this is meant to be a response to my video, which presumably it is because the whole first 20 seconds of the video is making me have an evil, scary voice. A consistently strong character. I'm assuming this is meant to be a response to my video. Like I said, I never said Ken was broken. I never said he was top 1. I just said he was strong.
That's all I have for this video. Now, if I come off as aggressive, it's not aggression, it's passion. This video is lighthearted in spirit. I mean no ill will to Broski or to...
See, exactly. This is the vibes. We should be being a bit playful here. Means no ill will. I didn't think it came off aggressive at all, to be honest. So again, I want to stress that even though I think this video is not especially well scripted, and a lot of the arguments presented here are not very well thought out, like I said, Faraj just seems like a really nice guy. He seems to take the light banter in good humor, and yeah, I managed to survive this time. I'm feeling a little bit more positive. We didn't rage quit the video. I'll put a link to Faraj's channel down in the comments.